Oh, okay, greetings. Let's get the show on the road. It's our masterclass on gaining confidence with a new self-image. And I hope we all will benefit from this brief explanation about self-image and what role it plays in our development and in getting the results that we need or want. The Proctor Gallagher Institute been functioning now over 64 years. And I'm part of that organization as a consultant. And as we get into the presentation, we'll explain a little bit more as to some of the things that we do and to see how it could help you or how it fits in with whatever goals you may have. At this time, what I want to do is just for us to listen to a very brief introduction by Bob Proctor.
Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor. Do you know, over the next few minutes, you are going to have some absolutely incredible information shared with you. Do you know, I could go back many, many years, 55 years ago. I was one lost soul. I was sitting in a fire hall in the suburb of Toronto, and a man gave me this book, and he said, if you do exactly what I tell you, you can have anything you want. Well, I didn't believe that, but I believed he believed it. And so I thought, I'm going to do exactly what he says. I have never looked back. I have earned millions of dollars. I've had an absolutely phenomenal life, and it just keeps getting better. I have no intentions of slowing down. I'll be 82 here in a day or two, and it just keeps getting better. I got the energy of somebody that's 32. And you know, what you're going to hear over the next few minutes is the essence of everything that I've studied over the past 50 years. Listen really carefully to what they're going to explain to you over the next few minutes. And if you're wise, if you've got your ear to the ground, you're going to see how your results will change dramatically. How you can multiply your income, you can improve your relationships, and you can live in a healthy body. I have studied for a long time. These people have got the answers for you. Listen carefully to them.
This time, what I want to do is just to share a little part of my journey and the influences that I had and the purpose as to what it is. And I just want to first share with you a saying by my grandmother. And she says, we may be poor, but we are not poor in spirit. At that time, I did not understand completely what she's meant by that. But I'm going to illustrate a little later on what is now my understanding of what it is that she was telling me. At the time, I simply took it to be that you can be better than what you are. That is, where you are is not the important thing, it's where you're aiming to go or where you want him to be. And a short while, not a short while, but when I was about maybe 17 or so, I found a little book says live a new life. It was on the road, a little red book, and I picked it up. And for the next 10 or more years, I would read it every day. I told no one about it. No one knew about it. I just kept it to myself and kept reading it over and over each day. And it goes like this, and I'm just sharing a part of it. I think, therefore I am. You have to construct a world of belief. You have to believe in your own destiny. You have to believe in the goodness of others. You have to believe in the purpose of existence. You have to believe in unselfishness. And you have to believe to live. And the more you believe, the more abundantly you live. And if you notice, it begins with belief. And when we get into understanding what is going on, we are going to see that your beliefs is the key foundation both to understand who you are and, of course, where you want to go. So this is how I started out, in a sense. So what I want us to do here now is to pause for a moment. We may not be able to do this completely, but I'd like you to take a screenshot, not now, but when I finish identifying the areas. What are we going to do? We're going to rate ourselves in each category from 0 to 10. Not where you want to go, but where you are. So you have to start with where you are. And then you're going to examine the lowest ratings. And you're going to check what is your belief about that. So let us say, you had a rating of 2 in family and friends. Then you have to look at what is your belief. What do you believe about family? What's your core belief? What is your core belief about friends? I had a very bad experience when I was young, and that then affected how I related to people. As I had someone who I considered to be best friend, and in my mind, and betrayed me. Don't ask me, I don't remember exactly what it is. And I just quietly said to myself, look here, I don't need no more best friend. And so I never had any. Eventually, I had very good friends, but in that early period of life there. So first area is finances. And I can tell you that this was one of my, not now, but then, weakest particular here. Your health. How do you take care of you? Your business and your career. Are you clear on what is your career? Do you have a business? Do you want to have a business? Your family and friends. Where are you there when you rate yourself? In terms of your romance, your personal, intimate life. Where is that now? Personal growth. Are you investing in yourself? Or are you putting it off and waiting until things get better? Fun and recreation. How often do you take a break? Physical environment. Where you are you satisfied with where you are? Where you're comfortable? So you're going to rate yourself first, and then you're going to check the beliefs that you have. And as we get along, you're going to begin to see why we ask you to do this. And this is something which I usually begin most of my presentations with. Because many people attend meetings and they are inspired. They go to church, they are inspired. But then very little happens after they have left because there's no follow-up. And here I'm giving you something to follow up with, something that you can sit down and constantly use. And you can expand on it. So you may say, the business and career is 2, but then you want it to get up to 8. And then you're going to ask yourself the question, what can I do to increase it, to get it up? So one of the questions we always ask is, do you have a written goal? Notice you say written goal, not a goal. Your goal must not be general. Put a yes or no in the chat, depending on this particular thing. But we can, have a little idea. And why do we ask you to do this? It's being accountable to yourself requires courage. Most of us conform and do, in fact, don't realize that the opposite of conformity is courage. And one of my favorite sayings is, to thine own self be true. So, on your personal journey, most people are looking for a straight path, thinking that this is what life should be. And so we remind Bob saying, change is inevitable. You're going to change. You're going to grow. And we don't necessarily mean physical. You're going to become more aware. But personal growth is a choice. And this is where you make the quantum leap. This is where you make, in mathematics, what we call exponential growth. That is, you grow on a very high curve, rapidly, when you develop conscious awareness. What? This is life, really. Same personal journey, but they're going to be twists and turns. And you have to be prepared for that. One of the mistakes many people make is that they spend a great deal of time trying to figure out what things and what contingency is going to happen, and therefore we're trying to work out scenarios. You're splitting your energy. You got to live in the now. Have a goal and then surrender yourself to the vagaries of life, to the twists and turns, the ups and downs that you will experience. Not maybe, you will experience it. All right? And sometimes parents do not sufficiently prepare young people, because what they tend to do is they want to protect, they want to make decisions for them, and to the impression that they'll be there at all times to lead them on this road of life. Just for information, it's interesting to know that approximately 98% of people are without a major goal. And it is significant that approximately the same percentage of people are regarded as failures. Here we must make a distinction. Failing is quite okay. But when you stop trying, then you become a failure. And this is what happened to many people. They have given up. They sacrifice whatever it is that is happening because they think that they have no control over it. So we want you to let go of the old and embrace the new. So when they are stuck at 20,000, 100,000 or $1 million a year, when they are stuck at being £5, 20 pounds or 100 pounds overweight, when they are stuck at getting C's in school or college, when they are stuck at that desk job you don't love, a business that is running you, or you're just feeling unfulfilled. Stuck is stuck. Makes no difference. Of course, many times we blame society, we blame others, blame the parents. It is not who you are that holds you back. It is who you think you are not. And this is going to be our subject of attention today about self-image and to explain to you what it is about. When you make the choice for personal growth with us and you study the Bob Proctor Gallagher programs, we can show you how to turn your annual income into a monthly income. Many persons have done it. Thousands all over the world have done it. So many people, they ask them they want to have financial freedom. Is how sometimes they put it. But being rich is having money. Being wealthy is having time. And if you notice that wheel of fulfillment that we give you, that is wealth. When you are doing very well, that's the overall picture. Health, relationships, family, all of these things. You have people who have an enormous amount of wealth. But most of those other areas are disasters. Many of them, for example, have extremely poor family relations. Despite. So this is something. So are you creating generational wealth? And in preparing this, and I thought about an experience I had living in Massachusetts. And I was living in a community, working class community, Matapan. And there were 3 family houses. And I would go down a particular street and I would notice that on the street, there's the most expensive car you can think of or on those streets. Of course, at the end of the street was a church, which was another story. But my neighbor worked in the water area, the area that deals with water. And in Massachusetts, the water bill is sent to the owner of the property. And she explained to me that over 70 to 80% of the water bills in that area were being billed to Florida address. I repeat, the water bill, so the ownership of most of the place were owned by people in Florida. And they were retirees. And then something began to take shape. Begin to see new Caucasian young people start to move into some of the houses. And what was that? It was a transfer of generational wealth. Those people that moved out of here, but they still maintain ownership. They rented out the places to people who had very expensive car, but didn't own the place that they live in. And so this whole question about generational wealth is something I think we need to think about. And therefore, why are we not achieving it? And we will see that the result you are achieving is a direct reflection of the image of yourself you are holding. Improve the image, and the improvement will be automatically be reflected in your results. Sandy Gallagher. So this is getting into the topic. Before we do so, however, I want us to just a few minutes to listen to a message by Bob Proctor. Because this is linked to what I had said earlier about my own development, early stages of life. And in fact, although meeting success in many places, most of my mentors were primarily religious people. And so my main saying was, I shall pass this way but once, any good therefore that I can do, any kindness that I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. It's good to be altruistic, but you are limited when you do not have the resources to affect more people. So mentorship is a critical component. So let's take this opportunity to listen to a brief thing with Bob Proctor.
You know, a question that I'm asked everywhere I go, I've traveled all over the world, is it important to have a mentor? Well, I guess you can be very successful without one, and probably some people do. But I would not have accomplished anywhere near what I have accomplished without a mentor. I have had a number of mentors, and my whole life has changed dramatically. I went from going nowhere to having a business that operates all over the world. If you want to win in a big way, you want to get a mentor. It's almost like getting a direct pipeline from their mind to your mind, where you're gaining all their wisdom, all their experience, and all the studying that they've done over a number of years. And like that, you get it all in a short period of time. Are mentors important? Well, I'm going to tell you, mentors literally changed the course of my life.
Before I met Bob Proctor, I was running a thriving law practice, and I had what most people thought of as real success. But from time to time, I'd think about doing something different. And then one day, I found myself in a Bob Proctor seminar, and I decided right then and there, I wanted to do what this man was doing. I wanted to be in his inner circle. And I wanted to create a program with him to bring to the executives and the directors and the companies that I'd been working with for the last 2 decades. This was a big change, and I am so grateful I had Bob Proctor to be my mentor as I went through this big transition. Bob says that having a mentor changed the course of his life. Well, having Bob as my mentor changed the course of my life. It's very easy to get into a routine in life, to do the same thing over and over. I have come to learn that every day can be an exciting adventure, but we have to make it that way, and to do that, we have to stretch. We have to set aside limitations and follow our dream. Now I am Bob Proctor's business partner and co-founder of the Proctor Gallagher Institute. Like Bob, mentors have changed the course of my life, and they can change the course of your life too.
Let's take a look at what thinking into results is and what it could do for you. how it came about. You see, my life had changed dramatically. I went from earning nothing to earning over $1 million a year. And I was sitting one day and I was thinking, how did all this happen? Do you know, I was reading Think and Grow Rich, I was studying Earl Nightingale's material, but a lot of people have read those books and studied Earl's material, and they weren't accomplishing what I was accomplishing. So I had to ask myself, what am I doing so different? You see, I had been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. I was earning over $1 million a year, and I didn't think I was that bright. I was also raised to believe if you don't go to school, you can't win. Well, I hadn't gone to school. I went to high school for about 2 months. I didn't have a good job. I owned the entire company. Now, don't get the idea that I think school isn't important. I think school is vitally important. I see study and school as being almost sacred. It's very important. But I couldn't figure out why I won, and so I started to study. I was very curious. It took me 9.5 years, and I got the dots to connect. That was after working with 3 or 4 phenomenal mentors. And when I got the dots to connect, all I wanted to do was teach it. And that's all I've been doing. And then I run into a young lady who is my business partner today, Sandy Gallagher. And she put together a master plan. And to cut a long story short, she said, Bob, I've studied everything that you teach. I know exactly what you know. I want to make a program. And she would get me in front of a camera and she'd say, explain this. And so I would. And then explain that. And she put together one of the most comprehensive programs I believe that you'll ever find anywhere in the market. Do you know with this program, you can change everything in your life in a matter of months. See, we're born and raised with the idea that it takes a long time to accomplish something. You can accomplish, bang, just like that. You don't go from A to B, you can go from A to G just like that with thinking into results. Do you see, what she's done is pick the very best out of my mind that I have studied and practiced for the last 50 years, and you get it in a program with 12 short, powerful lessons and an action planner that'll spin your head around on a dime. You can walk away from this and you can say, well, this isn't for me. Or you can say, I'm going to do this. And you know, in 6 months, you're going to need a telescope to look back and see where you started. I believe it's the most powerful program you can ever lay your hands on, because you not only learn why you win, you learn why you're not doing what you really want to do, and then, bang, how to change it.
I did create that program that I set out to create after I first saw Bob Proctor in that seminar, and that program is Thinking into Results. I wanted to help people get out of their own way. As an attorney, I saw many brilliant people getting stuck. Despite all their diplomas and credentials, they weren't getting the results that they wanted, and they didn't know why. I created Thinking into Results with Bob to show executives and entrepreneurs and employees worldwide how to get the results they wanted by thinking in a certain way. Our objective is to get thinking into results in every home, because it helps the young and the old alike expand their horizons and live their dreams.
If you want to be happy, healthy, and prosperous, it's all here. Thinking into Results is going to show you how to get it. If what I've said, or what Sandy Gallagher may have said, really triggered something in your mind and you're thinking maybe, contact the certified PGI consultant on this page. Hit the button, leave the information. Do yourself a favor. Sit down and talk to them about what this program can do for you. This very well could be the decision that will change the rest of your life. You'll enjoy it forever. Do you know a question that
Okay. What it is that is being talked about there? To change, we have to change the way we think. Thinking as, and that is what both Bob and Sandy spoke about. So this is part of my mission, so to speak, to help people. And one of the things that we need to understand is the mind and how the mind works. So I spent a little time going through that before I then go back into the thing. So it's your marvelous mind. And most of us are not equipped about that. That we think in pictures. So if I say to you, feather, what appears? If I say to you, your door, the door to your house, the image comes up. If I say to you, what is the color of your car? That image arises. If I ask you, what is the color of your refrigerator? If I ask you, how many doors it has? You're going to pause for a while before you answer. And I'll ask you if it open to the left or it open to the right. So we think in pictures. So how does your mind look like? So let's look at the mind and what we refer to as paradigms, which are groups of habits. So in 1934, a gentleman by the name of Thurman Fleet was involved in the healing art. He stated, the mind is an activity, not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind, but in order to gain clarity and eliminate confusion, he will create an image. The mind is an activity, not a thing. The mind is in every cell of your body. But when people talk about the mind, you think we're talking about the brain. The brain is a switching station. It transmits messages so from different parts depending on how you're thinking. So this is the image that was created, a large circle connected with a smaller circle. The top circle represents the mind. The bottom circle is the body. Well, the mind is divided into two parts, conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And the small one, as we said, is the body. And Bob, in fact, says that this is the most valuable idea that he had ever learned. Because what it did, it bring order to all the other elements as to what was happening. And it allowed us to give a good explanation as to what is going on. So, for example, let us look at school. School gave you valuable knowledge. However, school never taught us how to alter the habits that we have. Therefore, we frequently do not do what we know how to do. So we have people with superior knowledge and inferior result. They are stuck. What does this cause? Confusion and frustration. So when you look at it, what happens there? Using the stick person in the conscious mind, you have lots of information. And they have the PhD, the degrees, what you name it, they have it. But what is the results that they're getting? The result they're getting is not in accord with what it is that they want. Why? It's your paradigm, habits you have, the self-image that you have that is giving you the present result. So if you want to change those results, what you have to do? You have to develop new paradigms, a new self-image. So to improve your life, there are two things you must know. And most persons sometimes confuse this. One, where you are and where you are going. It's simple, obvious. So why are people not doing that? See? Why are so many people stuck? Most times they don't have any goal. But the real reason is they don't know where they are. They don't know what are the habits that is holding them back. So when I gave you that exercise earlier and tell you to rate yourself, 1, 2, what are your beliefs? This is to help you to begin the process of identifying what are the things that are holding you back from moving ahead. And we call them paradigms. A mental program that has almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. And almost all of our behavior is habitual. You don't think about driving a car. You get up in the morning, you go through a certain ritual. You don't think about it. You're not consciously thinking about it. So let's now look at the process involved a little bit more closer here. So we have the conscious mind. And we have senses. You see, hear, smell, taste, touch. That allows you to deal with the outside world. The conscious mind, the thinking mind. You have the subconscious mind, which is your emotional mind. And that is the doing mind. That is what we're the doing, and therefore the knowing and not doing is as a result of this. And this image allows us to get a clarity as to why it is you can have the superior knowledge and information, but you are not doing what you are dealing with. And therefore the body, the action takes place in the body. So you think, you do, and then you act. So the conscious mind can only accept or reject. That's what it does. And most people spend a great deal of their time rejecting. Opportunities present themselves. Why are they rejecting? It's because of what exists in their subconscious mind. The subconscious mind must accept. There's no choice. So here it is that energy, life is taking place and flowing through you. Who are you? I remember going to a recent seminar and asking this question. And the person's, give their name, I'm Dennis. I said, that's your name. I then point to them body. I said, that's your body. So who are you? Let's try and look at that. You're a spiritual being. You have an intellect and you live in a physical body. Spiritual being, you have an intellect which separates you from all the other animals on the earth. They function with instinct, what is called the level of animal awareness. Survive, flight, or fight. So they either flee or they fight, depending on the circumstance. We, however, have an intellect, and we have certain intellectual faculties. I want you to pay careful attention here. That is a very key part of what we want to explain to you. You have the imagination. That is where you create ideas in your mind. You have your intuition, where people talk about, for example, when they pray to God. But how does God answer them? Through their intuition. You need to be careful as to what it is, which voice you are listening to. Then you have memory. We all have perfect memory, however. We tend to think that as we get older, we are losing memory. We don't lose memory. Memory is like, and all of these faculties are like the muscles in your body. If you use them, and then you have the will, which is the ability to concentrate. Reasoning, right, is the ability to put things together and to come up with particular ideas which you may formulate into something. And your perception is how you view things. So those, you hear people refer to gifts. These are the gifts that you have. When you read in theological books and so forth, and they talk about the gifts and your blessings, these are them. But do we use them? And most times we don't. As I explained before, this is not taught in school. School don't explain all of these things. So of course, the body goes into action. The action creates a reaction that then changes circumstances and the conditions in which you exist. So where did your self-image come from? Remember, the self-image is part of the paradigm that you have. It's what you have been told by yourself and others, or you were treated, especially when you were young. Your past experiences, like I explained about my best friend when I was about 11. Your successes and failures as you go through life. The beliefs you have developed about yourself, and the criticism or praise that you may encounter. I'm going to skip this brief thing here and move on to just examine some elements of the self-image. That is, your self-image set the boundaries for your performance, your achievement. Your result is always a reflection of what is going on internally. If you have a negative or bad image of yourself, your results are going to be a reflection of that image. Many persons sometimes get it confused, you see. What you project to the world is the physical body. That's what you do. The inner thing that we're talking about earlier, the inner you, what you really genuinely think about yourself, that is the inner part. The outer part. So as you say, you have the outer image, the one you project to the world, or you walk, talk, dress, meet and greet people. That image is the outer expression of the inner image. And you can have, in fact, sometime. So the self-image that is fixed in your subconscious mind, that is what will determine how the rest of the world see you. And you are the only person in the world that has the ability to alter that self-image, to change it to what it is that you want it to be. So changing your image, how do you do that? By altering your image, you can change your behavior and achieve the goals that you want. How you do this? By visualization, mental rehearsal, and affirmation. Affirmations, some people call that prayer. But where's I am statements that you're going to make? Mental rehearsal, you see yourself first as how you want to be. The visualization, you create the image in your mind as to what it is that you want. So as you said, the self-image you have of yourself is the key to your personal and your behavior. You can change it. You can begin now. Again, as we said, visualization, mental rehearsal by repetition, relaxation, being calm. You never change things by fighting existing reality. You change something by building a new model. Buckminster Fuller. So let me repeat that because sometimes it's not fully understood. You hear people talk about, they're fighting to change a particular habit that they have. That is a doomsday thing. You have to replace the habit with a new and different habit. So that's what he says there. You don't change it by fighting that exists. To change something, you have to build a new model that make the old model obsolete. So that is one of the things that we help people to do through the process of repetition, as we said earlier, to change the model that they have. Right? So for example, we have something which you can repeat. I'm so happy and grateful now that my life is full of love. I love who I am. I love what I do, and I love what I am becoming. So you say that, you repeat that, you're reaching your financial freedom. And if you're interested, you can take a shot of that, for example, and help yourself and repeat that. Right? So at this time, what we want to do is just to have a few closing words by Bob. Again, this is our mentor and guide. And let's just listen to what he has to.
Well, there you go. Now think of this for a moment. Have you any idea what could happen to you, to your way of thinking in your life over a 6-month period? Now think of this. We invest in everything under the sun. We invest in clothes, we invest in our cars, we invest in our gardens, we invest in our houses. Very few people invest in themselves. You see, the thing I learned as I started to study this book, every dime I spent on me, I would get back tenfold and very, very quickly. If you really want to change your life, don't ask yourself, can you do it? Just like that, make up your mind to do it. If you have to borrow the money from your grandmother to do it, I say that because that's where I used to borrow the money, then borrow it and fix everything in your life. Learn how you can multiply your income. Learn how you can live in a healthier body. Learn how you can have more meaningful relationships. You see, life can be absolutely incredible, but we have to become aware of how to make it that way. You and I have the ability to take one of these things in our hand and write our own ticket. I'm telling you, invest in yourself. It's the best investment in the world. You are God's highest form of creation. If you're stuck, if you're not really making the progress you want to, start. Get involved in what I call exponential growth. Most people are involved in linear growth, if there's any at all. They go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Exponential growth is when you go from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, boom, boom, boom. And it just keeps getting better. We've put it together. There's over 50 years of research. There's people all over the world use this. Make sure you're next. Don't ask a person beside you what they think, what they're going to do. What are you going to do? Follow that quiet voice from within. Now listen, when you go to step out and do this, the old paradigm is going to try and hold you back. Just say, get out of here. I'm doing this. I'm growing. Try it. You'll love it.
Okay, now very quickly, here to talk about thinking into result. It's a signature program that we have. So as a consultant, what you have here, as I mentioned before, is literally 50 years of research. Now I think it's even more. I've gone into this, and this is demonstrated the success. So it's like someone handing you an instruction manual for your life. So it's time. It's time for you to do thinking into result. This program help you debt elimination, job promotion, rate release, better marriage, new home, wealth creation, improve health, or any goal you choose. It is your choice to choose and decide on your goal. Right? So if you're ready for radical transformation, we have the tools and the program that can help you to improve the paradigm and to improve your self-image, which is what we focus on today. You'll discover the 3 types of goals that you need to have. And which one is the only one worth pursuing. The one thing you should never consider when establishing a goal. I can tell you what that is, which most people spend a great deal of time worrying about how they're going to get there. There are persons here who started a business and they didn't consider how they're going to do it. They start. And along the way, the answers came and the organization and the business grew. How to multiply your effectiveness with virtually no effort at all. The underrated habit that will bring you a bigger payoff than any other. Simple way to instantly supercharge your productivity. Hidden mechanism that determine what comes into your life and how to take control of it once and for all. How to overcome fear. 4 easy steps to avoid the number one threat to your success. That is fear, which creates self-doubt, and so much more. So what I want you to do, if you find this resonate with you, is to scan that barcode and request a discovery call. Let us talk and see how we can help you. We also have here an associates, Nika and Rashida in the United Kingdom, myself here in the US. Another associate is Nicole Bradshaw. So if you are in touch with any of those people, you can also reach out to them and talk to them about being involved. How can you be involved in this program, Thinking into Result, or any other of the programs that we have that you can use as a stepping stone? You know, like getting your AA degree and then you move on to get your bachelor degree, then you move to get your higher degree, PhD, what have you. We have that process here. And the investment that you make here is going to pay you more dividends than simply getting knowledge and not knowing how to take that knowledge and apply it. We deal with application and accountability. So thank you for coming today. We will be available, if there's any questions that people may want for clarification. So again, thanks for coming, and I hope that you will get in touch with us.